One Oklahoma defensive lineman entered the portal, and a former 5-star target for the Oklahoma Sooners entered the portal. Let's discuss that coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Jay, one of my favorite players in the 2023 recruiting class entered the transfer portal. That's one Ashton Sanders, a dude that I think has got a really good get off. He's quick. He's athletic. Just kind of got lost in the shuffle as Oklahoma built its defensive line rotation with guys like Dejon Terry and Jaden Jackson and David Stone and Dominic Williams over the last year and a half.
Yeah, he was one of my favorites. He just posted a tweet. David Stone posted a tweet that he considered him the meanest and one of the most, mentally and physically fit guys. And he sad to see him go. And same thing, Champ Sanders quote tweeted it and said, fat boys for life or whatnot. So you could tell that the guys are going to miss him. Look, I enjoyed seeing Champ Sanders come into class in 23. He had a picture in high school, and I'll never forget it. He was standing at the 1-yard line, and someone took the picture, and he had put a caption on it that if you want to get this, you've got to go through me. And so he was sitting there standing pat at the 1 saying he wants the smoke, and he does not want to let anybody get into his territory. You got to go through him to get it. We need dudes more so with that mentality. Unfortunately, the one thing about Champ Sanders that I like and unfortunately do not like is that he's only about 200 and about 95 pounds. He's going to need to get himself up to about 330. I don't know if his frame can take it, but he's getting up to about 320, but 315 at the minimum if he really wants to be as effective in the SEC. Now, granted, he goes out there and play in the Big Ten, possibly in the Pac-12 or in the Big 12. He could be super impactful at that size because he's still got that quickness with his hands. So, gonna miss Champ Sanders. He was one of the players, just like you. I was really excited about him joining the team.
He was a late riser. I remember that last semester for him as a senior, he didn't really have great offers up until his senior season, and then they just started rolling in. All these Power 4 SEC Big Ten offers started coming in, and he ended up choosing Oklahoma. So, yeah, Ashton Sanders, friend of the show, had been on the show before joining the Oklahoma Sooners in the 2023 offseason. Now, another big name kind of hit the portal, and this is going to be a fascinating one to follow. Zachariah Branch, the former 5-star wide receiver that was he was a target of the Sooners during the Lincoln Riley era. Oklahoma was his first offer back in 2020. He hails from Bishop Gorman High School. That is the same high school that produced DeMarco Murray. Yeah. So as much as Zachariah Branch was a Lincoln Riley prospect, a guy that he was recruiting, ended up following Lincoln Riley to USC, let's not completely poo-poo the idea that DeMarco Murray might not have some relationship there that could potentially sway Oklahoma, or at least give them an opportunity to get in the room. Now, he's been productive in 2 seasons at USC. In year 2, the offense at USC was not as good as it was in year 1 when Zachariah Branch was a true freshman in 2023. So what do you think about Zachariah Branch there, Jay?
I saw like the kind of the Twitter spat that you had this evening where people were kind of telling you that they watched him play and he sucks. And I thought that was hilarious. I'm like, what? You think Zachariah Branch sucks? But whatever. I get it. USC fans don't like the guy. You ask Sooner fans, they're losing their minds about the 4 guys that basically hit the portal for us. So they'll tell you probably the same thing, that they all suck. I don't know. But I do think that he has a opportunity to be super impactful. Coming in as a true freshman, dude's a monster, especially in the return game. Mm-hmm. He's one that you're like, oh, okay, he's going to be something. And like you said, this past season, the offense just did not sputter. It sputtered, and it just did not produce anything. So Zachariah Branch was not able to really put up the numbers you would have expected because he didn't have a quarterback that could get him the ball where he needed to get it. Now, I would love for Oklahoma to rise and emerge as a threat to whomever he ends up at. Unfortunately, he put in a do not contact tag in his transfer portal paperwork. So don't call us, we'll call you type scenario. I'm curious to who he is calling. Is he going to end up with Malik Brown? Is he going to go to Oregon, Arizona State? Could he have put that in there so that he can call the schools he wants to talk to and see who wants to give him the highest bid? It's most likely what it's going to be. I totally understand it. He's a talent that commands that type of money. Why not go get it?
Yeah, and I get, he's not the biggest wide receiver. He's only 5'10", 5'11". At the same time, he's a guy that just has this innate ability to create after the catch. He led the Big Ten in yards after the catch per reception. He was 8th in the nation in yards after catch per reception. So the guy can create on his own. You don't have to throw him jump balls. He can get open. He can win in one-on-one situations. And I had somebody ask me, okay, what about off the line of scrimmage? Is he going to get bodied? Well, if you're playing him right on the line of scrimmage and you're not using motion and you're not giving him an opportunity to have some space to create, then maybe you're not doing what you need to do as an offensive coordinator to help your wide receivers out a little bit. Will he end up at Oklahoma? Probably not. But I think it's something they need to consider because you need to try and find as many playmakers as you possibly can.
Yes.
What he does as a wide receiver is one thing. What he does as a return man, that is another thing that makes him so valuable. And so who knows where this will end up? He's going to have a lot of people trying to contact him, or at least trying to lay some groundwork like, hey, call us, just send out that text. Hey, give me a ring sort of a
hey, big hit.
Or, shooting it to the brother Zion, letting him make the decision or make the calls or whatever. But everybody in the country is going to want, or not everybody, but a lot of the country is going to want to try and find a way to get Zachariah Branch on their squad.
Yeah, no, he's one player that everybody wants to get their hands on. If you can get your hands on a player of the caliber of Zachariah Branch, you go after it. Because like you said, not only his wide receiver skills, his special teams capabilities changes a lot. It makes it to where teams have to be strategic about it where they kick the ball. Mm-hmm. Don't kick it to that dude. Kick it out of the end zone. Don't punt his direction. Punt it out of bounds. And if you start trying to really target out of bounds punting, what happens? You start getting shanks. You start getting them cut shorter than where you want it to go. So it's like having a good corner that shuts down one side of the field because nobody wants to throw it there. That was the best part of like a Deion Sanders back in his day. And honestly, Travis Hunter started doing that a little bit for Colorado. You didn't want to throw that side of the field because you didn't know where that dude was going to randomly show up at. And especially that was definitely what Deion Sanders did. Zachariah Branch gives you that similar capabilities when it comes to the return game. You don't want to kick it directly to him because if he catches it, there's a very good chance he's going to return that bad boy.
Yeah, a lot of transfer portal stuff happening. The Oklahoma Sooners still pursuing wide receivers. We'll see which direction they go on that front. Still a lot of buzz about Dron Bradley, the former Texas Tech and Boston College wide receiver connected to Emmett Jones. Hopefully they can get that size in Norman and on the outside. But a former Sooner found a new home. We'll discuss coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.